So, I've decided to make this the topic of my first video on this channel. So, this video might not be very good, it's my first one, cut me some slack. But I've found something out recently. I've had to find this out myself, because there's pretty much no videos to talk about this on the YouTubes. And I suppose we're all kind of a little bit aware of what I'm about to talk about, because us Westerners know that the Filipinos can be oversensitive from our perspective, right? And I have, for a few years now, wondered why that is. Why, when we say certain things, that they are so emotional to it, when to us, we're not being malicious, we're just stating facts, just saying something as it is. But they will often, to us, have a overreaction to the information. And from what I can gather, a lot of this comes from the difference between how West and East see the value of saving face. And from what I can tell, in the Philippines and Asia in general, to save face means that you are not directly critical. You try to keep the peace, even if that means that you have to tell some lies. So this is also something I've seen other people experience, where they say that the Filipino will just say things to keep them happy. And that certainly fits now. But then obviously we in the West, we have a completely different concept of this, where we save face by telling the truth, having integrity, which means following through on what we say, what we're going to do, and just generally not being dishonest and making sure our decisions have good outcomes, essentially, and being accountable if they haven't gone good. And then I find this now is where a lot of us Westerners come into conflict with Filipinos and maybe just Asians in general, because to us, being direct, especially here in Yorkshire, like where I'm from, here in Yorkshire we are very direct. We are straight talkers. A spade is a spade. And this seems to be in direct conflict with how Filipinos like to be talked to when you are discussing matters which aren't to do with love, essentially. So it would appear to me that there obviously needs to be a middle ground reached, which is hard, because maybe I'm just seeing this from the point of view of a Westerner, and I've seen other Westerners say the same thing, is that we do try to seek to understand their culture, but it sometimes doesn't come back the opposite way. They do not understand our culture and don't want to understand our culture. As the saying goes, learn the Filipino way. But I think the problem is probably the reverse, and as Filipinos and Filipinas are not seeking to understand our perspective on matters, and that could be potentially why there is the clash sometimes of personalities and desires and etiquette, we'll say. I mean, so I'll give like maybe an example of where I've come into conflict in the past. There was once a girl, we were talking on the phone, and as seems to be normal in the Philippines, one of her siblings or relatives comes to talk to her, and she breaks off the conversation with me. And in the UK, that is very rude. Like in the UK, you are in the conversation with the person in the call, and if somebody else needs you, you tell them to wait until you've finished the phone call, and then they can have your attention. But in the Philippines, because everybody's all maybe all living in huts all together, and you know, big families, there appears to be the same rule, mate. Which is fine. Again, it's probably one of those things where you have to reach a middle ground. You know, the Westerner can't expect a Filipino family to never interrupt her on the phone, obviously. But equally, there probably needs to be some understanding on the other side that in our culture, that is very rude. Because in some instances in the past, they have told me that it's not a big deal. I'm like, but it is a big deal. In my culture, it is a big deal. Just because in your culture it's not a big deal, in my culture it is. So, you know, I imagine some of you will push back on this and say like us Westerners are not integrating. That probably is the case. There probably is some that are very archetypal, expat, don't want to change the ways, you know, can't teach an old dog new tricks. But I really think some of us younger guys coming over, right, we are interested about the culture, we are learning the language, we are seeking to reach that middle ground. I personally sometimes feel like it's the olive branch is smacked away because of cultural differences of which some of us are unaware of. Like, I was vaguely aware of the Asian concept of keeping face, but I'd not really researched into it, and now I understand it a lot better. I can 100% see how a lot of my interactions in the past could have been more positive if maybe me and the other person both understood this, that they understood that me being direct is actually a good quality in my culture, that in being direct and honest all the time, there's no lies, no deceit. And then equally, as Westerners need to understand that we don't need to keep kicking the hornet's nest every 2 seconds. You know, probably we need to learn to pick our battles a bit better. So, I mean, I think that is probably about it for this video. Like I say, it's my first one. It's not gone too bad. So, I mean, I'll leave you with that. If you think I'm wrong, tell me in the comments. Downvote the video if you really want. If you think I'm right, give me a like and tell me in the comments anyway. It would really help the channel. And if you want to help support the channel, I'm only new and up and running, but you know, I would like to one day make this my job. There are links in the description where you can support the channel, and if you want to know more, hit the subscribe button, because I will be heading to the Philippines this year. I'm not going to say when, I'm going to keep that a secret from the channel. But yeah, well, that's it for now. Peace out.